Hi, this is Shar with Action Arrow Media, and I'm here today for tip number 3 on how to act natural in front of the camera. So, here we go. Let's get started. I am so excited for tip number 3 because tip number 3 is actually going to put you in front of people that you don't know. So, just to kind of recap, tip number 1 was live before live. That puts you in front of the camera practicing by yourself. And tip number 2 was practice with your posse, right? So that's talking to people that you do know that you feel comfortable with. What I termed a comfortable discomfort. Okay, so tip number 3 is, we're going to post it up here, practice with helpful strangers. Okay, so why do we want to practice with helpful strangers? And who could those helpful strangers be? Well, I already mentioned it. It's the next step with practicing with your posse, right? So this is going to actually put you in front of somebody. Well, once upon a time, and I've been kind of hinting about this, I was part of Toastmasters International. And I really wanted to be able to speak effectively in public. I have had many leadership roles in corporations and wanted to make sure that I was able to get my message across effectively and not only that, but very personably. And in fact, I wasn't going to go on to this, but I'm going to just kind of digress for a moment on my very first interview that I had at Starbucks. I felt so bad for the person that I was interviewing. I had a piece of paper like this, not this exact paper, and I had this piece of paper and it had a list of questions on it. And you know what I did for that person that was interviewing with me? I seriously put my head down, looked at that piece of paper, and read the questions verbatim and did not look up at that person, maybe once or twice, and was waiting for them to give me this answer. Can you imagine? That's got to be a horrible, grilling interview, right? So I vowed after that, because I felt so nervous. I didn't know what questions I was asking in the first place, right? And I also didn't know that I actually had to make eye contact with this person and actually be a human and not a robot. Go figure. Anyway, so that's my story, and I wasn't going to bore you with the story today, but that's my story. So let's talk about the next step from practicing with your posse. Okay, you need somebody that's going to give you positive, constructive feedback on how you speak or present yourself in public or on camera. How do you do that before going live to millions and millions of people? Well, you are very selective. A little bit bigger of a selection than your posse, however. So I recommend going to Toastmasters International, and I already mentioned them. So what is so great about Toastmasters International is there's clubs all over the country. Okay, they have lots and lots of tools for you to utilize, tools and resources that are very, very wonderful. So I have a few things that you saw. If you were following me on social media, you saw that I had this magazine. So they have a magazine that they put out. This one's an old one, but I thought it was relative because if you're going to actually be talking to people on camera, that has something to do with technology and public speaking. They have a lot of different books. So a competent leadership book. They have a, I'm going to the wrong way. Competent communication book, and she's being blown out. There we go. And these have exercises and speeches that you actually are going to perform at Toastmasters. Yes, and you can see that I did little binder clips on these, and you can see where I actually did my speeches. Okay, and I won a few awards inside the club. I didn't go up and do any larger speeches in competition for Toastmasters, but they do. They'll put people in different levels, and you can move on up and go international competition if you so desired. However, I did not. Okay, so tools and resources, lots and lots of that. They also have people that when you go to a meeting, they judge you. I'm being judged. The judgment in here is very positive, and the thing is you're with like-minded individuals that want to grow and be better in their speaking abilities. So all those things I talked about, your vocal, your presence, all those things that you want to have your posse watch you with, these are a lot more targeted. So they have a list of things. So one of the things that they talk about there is and in this article that I had, it was really interesting. They're talking about how it's from Denise Graveline. So I want to make sure that she gets the credit. Thank you. And I just said they, and see, now I'm so aware of it now. And you guys will, once I mention it and I say you're going to count my ums, right? But when Thomas Edison figured out how to record sound, that new technology helped public speakers discover something that they had totally missed, which was the sound of And they're also filler words, so and, or, like, but, lots of different filler words that we use. And at Toastmasters, they actually count how many of those you use in the middle of a speech, and they let you know at the end of your speech. I know. But it is good because then you can really power through and make your message more concise. All right, so there's that. And I had a list of power words that Toastmaster gave us that help you use in describing how other people, so you actually do evaluate other people. Not only are people evaluating you, but you evaluate other people. And they give you a list of words that would be helpful in yes, and I just said helpful in evaluating other people. There we go. All right. It is an international club, like I mentioned. The other thing, structured. It is totally structured. So you go in, it's very structured, and I love it because there is no, messing around. It's very structured, and this is exactly, each and every time when you come into a meeting what you're going to get because it's outlined in a very certain meeting area. They also have what they call a joke master, and at my club, I'm not sure if that's that I used to go to. I don't know if that's normal for all the clubs, but I don't know about you guys, but I could never remember any kinds of jokes growing up. So this actually put me out in my comfort level and came up with a lot of different jokes so I could use it for icebreakers and things later on. And of course, I don't like canned jokes so much, so I kind of made up my own. Okay. And the last but not least is the one thing that Toastmasters is probably known for. They're called table topics. And this is kind of a grab bag of speech. So at the end of the meeting, they do what they call table topics. Somebody's in charge of a category or a topic that they come up with. So it could be somebody brings in a piece of paper and says, tell me about this piece of paper and why it's so great, sell it to me. And you have to, on the spot, come up with something, because you never know what it is going to be that they are going to come up with. That is fabulous. I love table topics. So here's my recommendation for you today. If you feel like you are not confident on camera, if you feel like public speaking is scary as your number one fear, if you really want to hone in your public speaking skills, especially if you are wanting to become a speaker to help grow your business, go to Toastmasters. Go to Toastmasters. Yes, and I'm not being, I wanted to bring that down because I wanted you to see how emphatic I am with this. Go to Toastmasters. It will improve the way you speak in front of the camera and in the way you speak in front of people, how you interact with people at networking events. I mean, it runs the gamut of the possibilities and the pluses you get out of it. So if you go visit, as far as I know, most of these clubs, and you can go on the website. I will put a link in the description to the website for Toastmasters International so you can find a club. Most of them will let you go in, do a initial visit so you know what you're getting into and see if these people are the people that you want to hang out with. And they will actually give you an opportunity to speak at table topics. So right out of the gate, you can be talking in front of people you don't know. Wow. Yes, it's so phenomenal. It is so amazing and phenomenal. So go to Toastmasters. Link is in the description. Yes. And if you are wanting to do a toast at a wedding, or I know a lot of people have eulogies that they have to deliver as well, and they're very nervous about that, Toastmasters can help you with that as well. So that is tip number 3 today on how to act natural in front of cameras. Practice in front of helpful strangers. We'll see you next Friday right here. Subscribe to me if you found this content valuable, and I will see you next Friday.